Hello and welcome all to Tales from the Time Traveler's Tavern. I will be your guide and navigator, Mr.E, taking you on this informative journey. Informative of what? We still don't know. But that's why I have had the good fortune to bring along with me the colorful commentary of our internet guru, my good friend Toast.
Butter is optional.
There you go. And to the other side, we have Private Snafu.
Good day, Mr.E. Good day, Toast.
Alright, now we're going to go down a traveling line of science fiction or science fiction and all that kind of good stuff. It could be that she signed up for this because she wanted to stretch her wings, and more power to her. Get some coaching, because she didn't seem to have the presence that she needed.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I have not.
I've seen clips.
Oh, so that just reminded me of a point of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where Dee goes up to do some stand-up comedy, and she's like, she's talking to Dennis, and she's like, Dennis, I go and do this every month. Now that you're trying to live a day in my shoes, this is what I do every week, so you've got to go do it too now that you're trying to be like me. So she goes up and she completely flops, and that just kind of reminds me of the thing, and Dennis ends up walking up and like throws up all over the stage. I know, it's an interesting thing.
You know, that's one that always worried me about anybody who goes up on stage for the first time, is you can't come back from showing up and losing lunch.
Yeah.
There's no way to save it from there, you know?
Yeah.
Some of it depends on what you're doing.
Unless you're doing like a stand-up routine where like you're literally in the middle of it and talking about something that has to do with that, and it just times out perfectly.
I think the only time you could get away with it is during one of those gore magic shows.
There was a...
Gore magic shows?
Oh,
Yeah.
If you've ever seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I've never seen it.
There was a comedian, maybe more of a spoken word thing, but there's a comedian who was talking about that. One of the performances he had given was he was performing Our Town. I can't remember the author anymore, but the play is like a journey through this, through this person's life. When they're a kid, through a young adult, older. But as actors were on stage, like there's actors on stage as his neighbors when he was a kid, as the character would die, there was a section of the stage set aside with folding chairs that actor, when their character would die, would get up and walk over and sit over in the graveyard section. They would watch the rest of the play from the graveyard, basically as a constant reminder, that the past is watching, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of it, he's talking about stuff. What he didn't know was that one of the actors had been feeling ill all day.
Uh-huh.
And the one line he had delivered, and he's getting closer to the actors, and he's like, "Are dead." And like, they're waiting for something to come out. And as soon as he said that person just vomited all over his shoes. And he's like, it's a very serious moment in the play, and he's like, "What do you do?" And so he's saying something that lines up like his response. Basically, to not look around, not respond, and just repeat his line. Like they're waiting for something to come out, and you just kept right on going without moving.
Right.
Because that was the closing of the scene, and the curtain was going to come down. So if he didn't move, he couldn't slip in anything.
Right.
And he's like, it was one of those moments of, what do you do? Do you break character? Or do you just keep on going? You can't laugh, you can't react, even though your pants are covered in vomit.
I'm waiting for something to come out. Not like that! If that is reality. Some dead person's kind of laying there dead and just throws up all over your shoes. Then what do you do?
In terror of the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Because they have zombies like that in video games. They're called spitters.
Proves how much I really play video.
Depends what genre you're in.
Or if indeed you are familiar with very often playing with yourself.
I don't know what you, like, if that's what you do, if you think about zombies when you're doing that kind of stuff, sure.
I'm just saying.
But don't bring me into it.
I'm just saying I need more friends.
That doesn't help the comment any.
That's the point!
The point is a radio station from the other side of the state.
Oh, God.
Well, it is.
Yes.
Sure, but
yes. And they share a name with a root beer.
Oh, yeah, Point Root Beer, yeah.
I know someone who found a dismembered head on the beach in...
Human head?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
Wouldn't it be decapitated?
Decapitated head, yeah, I guess. Decapitated and in a plastic bag, yeah. They're still haunted.
An interesting thing, like, you know, just walking down the beach, minding your own
Oh no,
business.
that's what it was. It was a head and an accompanying dismembered hand. That's why I got the terms confused.
Is that like head in hand? Like, I don't know, that just sounds gonna be something. When somebody is like foot in mouth, you know, you just say something, and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. Like, one time,
Yeah,
somebody I
foot in
know
mouth.
said to his wife, you're not as fat as you used to be. And his wife paused, and now we give him crap all the time. We're like, oh, you're not as fat as you used to be to his wife. I don't know, that you say, oh, you just put your foot in your mouth, like head in hand, that sounds
No,
like...
it's foot and mouth.
No, I mean, I know it's foot in mouth.
One of the...
And that's called a face palm.
Yes.
Not what I mean. A little bit too literal for what I mean.
Would you prefer a hairy palm?
Ew, no.
So, any other subject matters we want to talk about? Let's move away from found body parts if we can.
Oh, God. That's kind of hard, then.
That's what she said. Did you ever hear that joke?
Yes.
But no, I mean like the actual joke that goes with.
No.
Oh. So, 3 nuns are standing at the pearly gates.
Oh, that's...
They've died.
Okay.
They meet St. Peter. You know, St. Peter goes, before you enter heaven, you have to answer a question. They're like, oh, okay, we can do this. St. Peter looks at the first nun, and he's just like, okay, what's the meaning of Easter? Well, it's easy, the day that, that Jesus rose from the dead. Ding, 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 lights flash, gates open. St. Peter says, you may enter. That's the second nun. What's the meaning of Christmas? She's like, well, that's a celebration of Jesus' birth. Ding, 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 lights flash, gates open, you may enter. Looks at the third nun, he goes, what is the first thing that Eve said to Adam? Nun goes, wow, that's a hard one. Lights flash, gates open.
Oh, but it reminds me of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. What is thy name? Sir Robin. What is thy quest? To find the Holy Grail. What is the capital of Chechnya?
That wasn't it at all.
No.
What is your favorite color?
Yeah, he says
No.
blue, no, yellow. And
No,
then
he
gets thrown
he
over.
asked the troll some weird, like, what is the capital of this place? And
Oh, wait,
they're like,
no, it wasn't that. It was, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
No, that's to get the troll thrown off the bridge that King Arthur asked him.
Oh, that's right.
African-European.
Yeah. What? I don't know that. It wasn't Chechnya, though. I know that.
No, it wasn't Chechnya, but I couldn't remember.
I like
that.
someone actually broke down the fact that your mother was a hamster and your father reeked of elderberries. It's an actual insult.
Is it really?
It's apparently according to some people, it's an actual historical insult.
The latter part or the further part?
Both.
How?
Because the your mother was a hamster implies implies that she had multiple births, multiple children.
Oh, okay.
So apparently she likes to run around, which at the time was considered an insult.
Right.
And your father reeked of elderberries was because elderberry wine was popular.
Right.
So basically they said your,
Your
father
father
was
was
drunk
drunk.
and your mother was a whore.
Yeah.
Well, I did not know that.
I have to say apparently because some people read way too into things.
Yes.
Fair.
I mean, hell, they were denied access to the original castle they were going to film at because the historical society or something like that.
Because they felt that it would impugn on the honor of the castle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, impugn on the dignity of the castle.
Yep.
I like their response to that. Like, yes, it would impugn on the dignity of the castle. Pause. One looks at the other and goes, well, it would have. Well, yeah, we know that, but that's not the point.
Yeah. Because the castle they did get allowed to use sees more tourism because of that movie than they have seen in the entirety of the castle's existence. So when you look at it that way...
I don't know, but my favorite is still the part where King Arthur and his knights are running up to go kill all the guards in this one castle, and it shows the clip of him running. Then it goes back to the guards, and it's the same clip of the guards.
No, that wasn't King Arthur. That was Lancelot. That was John Cleese's Lancelot.
Yeah, Lancelot.
Where he's running for days.
Yeah, it shows him running for like days and stuff, and it just shows the same clips over and over. Finally gets there, and he starts slaughtering all these guards, and he gets to the prince or the castle, and he's like, oh, well...
I must have the wrong place!
Yes. And you see all the dead guards and stuff, and there's a dead guy in the chandeliers and stuff, and he's like, I must have the wrong place, I am very sorry, and just leaves.
No. Tries to leave.
Oh,
He tries to leave in the middle of a musical number and fails and asks for a push.
I still like, someday, son, this will all be yours. You mean the curtains? No, the land. I'd rather have the curtains. No, you're gonna marry whatever her name is. Why? Because she has huge tracts of land.
Well, why wouldn't I want this? Why would you want this? It's just a swamp. Went through 3 iterations of Castle before finally the 4th one stood on top of the other 3.
For a moment, when you said Castle, I was thinking the guy from Captain Malcolm Reynolds.
Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's also a TV show, Castle. Like, he's a crime detective and all this. I kind of like that show. I used to it, but then I kind of got away from it, and it's its own thing. You know, like...
That's just like I used to watch Bones, and I stopped watching it after a while. Especially when I realized they were like in their 10th season.
Started to lose its flavor.
Oh, I had lost it before then. When their storylines started to get really weird, that's why I'm like, now I'm just watching it for the habit. See, though they had a really good one. There was an older video I'd seen online. TJ Thine played Hodges.
Yeah.
It's called Validation. I was telling you about it before.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it's an entire video about a parking validation. It's actually a really good one. The stuff you can find on YouTube, don't look it up.
That could be taken 2 ways.
There's only certain things you can find on YouTube that are things you don't want to look up. There are certain things on the internet, though, that you never expect that you're ever going to have to tell anybody, don't you dare look this up.
But then they do.
An example of this would be the fact that apparently my daughter most recently looked up 2 Girls, 1 Cup.
Oh!
She's not even 12 yet.
You know, I haven't seen that up until I got to my unit.
And now you can never unsee it.
Yeah. Month ruined.
Especially anytime you try to eat Indian food.
Oh.
Or pork and beans. Or pudding.
Really did ruin pudding for me, though.
Oh, that one I'm amazed by.
What? The video's off-putting?
Well, I'm sure for at least one individual, perhaps not. For the rest of humanity, it should be. That video is a health hazard to your eyes.
I think my eyes threw up, then I threw up. That was a bad time. That's all that I got to say about that.
All I can hear is Weird Al. And that's all I got to say about that.
Hey, going on the subject of Mr. Yankovic, have you watched any of Milo Murphy's Law?
The only episodes that I'm aware of being out.
What'd you think of them?
I would find it interesting for them to do more. I thought it was slightly odd that they just immediately give... Well, not immediately. It's like the second episode, I think. They just give him a sister without any explanation.
Ah, yeah. I think she was in the intro, is the thing.
No.
No?
No, they actually make a joke about it. Because when they start the episode, they're getting ready to get out of a vehicle. And, it's Milo, and I can't remember the friends, but, his friends get out. And they're like, okay, yep, that's everybody. They're like, okay, we're ready to leave. And his sister's like, yep, I'm going to get out too. Why do we always forget her?
My father's been watching this show. Wash from Firefly. He does his own, little 15-minute show every now and again. And the guy who played Captain Malcolm Reynolds is also in it. But
I need to see
Nathan
that.
Fillion.
Yes, Nathan Fillion.
I need to see that.
It's actually a pretty good show.
If
I saw a few and I liked it.
Is that the same show where they're playing 2 characters from a failed sci-fi show?
Yes.
Where one of them played the pilot and one of them played the captain?
Yes.
Where they are basically playing fictionalized versions of themselves?
Yeah, and there's one where they're at a comic book show, and he was like, oh, I hate sci-fi and all this, and he's whispering that, but the whole crowd hears, and they're getting all mad at him and stuff. And I thought it was just really funny because, Firefly was such a great show. And then he's like, yeah, I hate sci-fi, and I was like, that shouldn't be coming out of his mouth.
That's part of the joke.
Yes,
yeah, that is part
it
of the
is,
joke.
but I found it funny, but I was like...
Have you ever looked down recently?
Other than that, no.
Oh, God. Did you watch Rogue One?
Yes.
He's K2SO.
He's the voice of K2SO.
Yeah, he's also the motion capture artist for it.
Really?
Yep.
I did not notice that.
He wore stilts for it.
Huh.
He actually walked around set in stilts. He said it was actually really weird. Did you watch Wreck-It Ralph?
Yes.
He's the voice of King Candy.
Thinking of which, that brings me back to the earlier
Wait,
point in
really?
Yep. He's the voice of King Candy.
Actually, it's Emin. But anyways, that brings me back to the earlier point in this podcast where actually it's Satine.
Did you ever watch iRobot?
That's the one with...
Oh, that's
the
right.
robots
He
that tried to
provided the
kill
face for that robot, didn't he?
He did both the voice
The
and
and
motion
the face.
capture for
Yeah,
Sunny.
Right.
Really?
Yep, he has done...
You can see it in the face. They modeled the face after his face. Like, you really got to stare at it to realize it.
When I first watched the movie, it didn't...
It didn't click,
Yeah, it didn't
right.
put it together. But when someone went, oh yeah, that's Alan Tudyk. I had that brief moment, and I'm like, really? I caught a portion of it again, looked at that and went, yeah, that's him.
When I was younger, that show scared me. I was...
iRobot?
Yeah, like when I was younger, I'm talking like, when it first came out.
Oh, because iRobot was... Jeez.
When did it come out? I don't know. I can't remember when it came out, but
Book or movie?
What?
I said the book or the movie?
Movie.
That's like 2000 something.
So then...
It's got to be in the neighborhood of between 2000 and 2005, I think.
So it's like just a rough estimate, like 5 to 8 maybe. But like those robots scared me. Like when I was younger, those robots scared me.
Hey, go ahead.
I still find it 2004. I find it funny that now when you can buy a Roomba, it's made by iRobot.
Don't feel bad, by the way. iRobot was never intended to be a children's film.
Yeah.
However, I can name a children's film that I'm sure it would surprise you to learn that our amazing Toad is actually afraid of a character from. It's a Steven Spielberg film, perhaps one of his most famous.
Caroline?
Think older.
I'm just kind of going, what movie's Caroline?
It's a stop-motion animation.
That's Coraline.
Oh, that's Coraline.
Yeah,
Caroline.
sure. It's not Satan, it's Sati.
Yeah, okay. No, think older. Think way older. Think flying bikes.
E.T.
He's afraid of E.T.
Really?
Yeah. He's afraid of E.T.
Okay, just thinking of E.T. One of our drill sergeants once. So, he was our first few weeks, like, just out of reception, brand new uniforms and everything. He's like, God, what a sorry formation of soldiers. If E.T. came, he would whoop all of your asses, and we'd all be ruled by retarded aliens.
Did you ever hear the theory that E.T. is in fact a Jedi?
No, I have not, but I'm curious now.
That's only because of a nod they put in the movie.
Right. A nod that George Lucas put in episode 2?
Wow.
I think it was episode 2. If you watch the movie E.T., you will notice a point where they outwit the government by taking him out dressed as a ghost for trick-or-treating. Well, while they're trick-or-treating, they see a child dressed up as Yoda, and he has the reaction of, "Take me home!" So then, Lucas built on that and put the Spielbergian alien, known as E.T., in the treatment. His original name was Trex, I believe. But he puts that race as part of the Galactic Council. So from that is born this internet theory that E.T., otherwise known as Trex or Crex, one of the two, is in fact a Jedi. Because he has the ability to levitate objects with his mind, the ability to persuade people with his mind, and the ability to heal with a touch.
But was that not the Sith, though, that could heal? Because it's Darth Plagueis that...
Actually, Force users can heal themselves and others, at least in what was Star Wars canon before Disney got a hold of it.
It's now considered Legends.
Right.
And what they've come down to is, if you have, I don't want to say the knack for it, it's basically a lost art by the time you actually get up to the movies.
Right.
Which is also why they still get hurt, and they still need back to tanks and etc. It's because they can't just force heal themselves. It works out fine for games, but when it comes to the movies, it's kind of hard to explain.
Right.
So, but it's also, so it's probably not right to say that E.T. is a Jedi, but saying he's a Force user
Right.
is a lot more accurate, because I've been looking into it because of the stuff that's currently going on. But apparently it seems that Disney is moving away from George Lucas's original idea of the Force being light side, dark side. You're either on the light or you're on the dark, and moving more towards a gray.
Toward a gray area, okay.
Because they're moving towards the idea of the Bendu, which is the gray area. So you end up with people saying, well, like Mace Windu, he's the darker end of Jedi, not just because of his skin tone. But because when you actually watch him fight, he fights angry. And Jedi aren't supposed to use their anger in a fight, because it's
Right.
dark side. But, you have a darker end of things, Jedi, who's still a Jedi. He's still light side.
Right.
But he's a bit shadier. But you also have the other side with the Sith, where you have Sith that aren't downright evil dicks. They're still concerned about personal wealth, power, that moment of, I will have what is mine. But they're not going to stab someone just because they can.
They're not going to blow up a star system. Alright, well, on that note of fact, validation, and verification, any other shuns we should add to that? Powering words, Snafu?
I don't know. It's above my pay grade.
Okay, and toast?
I can't believe it's not butter.
Alright then. Once again, this has been your navigator and guide, Mr. E. Thank you for joining Tales from the Time Traveler's Tavern. So that's it.
You've got